In this lesson, we're going to take a look at how to use some of the more advanced selection tools inside of Photoshop CS5, as well as how to refine our selection once we've made it. So the image that I'm going to be using is the file called Girl in Green. And this was a picture shot over a white background, but you notice because of the flash, her shadow is appearing here in the background. So what we'd like to do is remove her from this background, and that way we can lighten up the background image and get her what we would essentially call isolated. Now, there's a number of ways to do this. One way is to use something called the Magic Wand tool. Now, not a huge fan of this tool, but essentially you just click, and anywhere you click, it will select that range of colors that it's connected to. Okay, so let's just zoom in here. I'm going to hold down my Control space bar and then click and drag so I can just zoom in. You notice I click on the red inside the letters. It doesn't select anything else. If I click this yellow, because those yellow parts are connected, it will actually go through and find all of those pieces that it's connected to as best it can. Now, it's using this tolerance factor up here. If I increase my tolerance, you'll notice that I can get almost all of that yellow because it looks at it and says, well, I'm kind of connected here, so I guess I'll grab all of it. Same thing with like this red. Notice it doesn't know the difference between this red and orange because the tolerance is so high that it just grabs all of it. So you kind of have to be careful when you're working with something like this. Now, what's nice about this is if you want, you can press Shift and then just keep clicking and adding all of those extra pieces right in. So just like that, I've selected all of those pieces. The problem is sometimes you get a really, really rough edge, and that's one of the little telltale signs of when you use this that you get a rough edge. Okay, and I can show you that here like that. All right, so disregard that. I was just showing you a couple things there. All right, so how do we select her and really get a nice edge? Well, there's a great tool in here called the Quick Selection tool, and it's a little round circle with a plus in it. And essentially what we're going to do is tell Photoshop all of the parts that we want. So I'm going to start here with her face. Okay, I'm just going to draw a U, and I've selected her face. I'm going to grab her hair, click and drag down to her arm, drag across her shirt, drag across this logo. Okay, we got all of that. We'll grab her jeans, and then we'll grab her arm. And just like that, we made a great selection. Now we can go in here and start to add more to her hair, but let's see what some of this new refining can do for us. So I'm going to choose Refine Edge, and you can see what it does. It puts it all on white. Now it's very difficult to see, so I'm going to actually change this to something like on black. Okay, and that way we can see what's happening here. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my Smart Radius, which what this will do is actually go through and start calculating where some of the edges are. And I'm going to increase my radius just a hair. And you notice it already starts to pick some of this up. I'm going to smooth my edge just a few pixels. Okay. And let's now go ahead and tell the system that we want some of this detail on her hair. And you see how nicely it just grabs all that? Okay, so we had some detail here we wanted to keep. There we go. And it just pulls that right in. Okay, everywhere else looks good. Now, mind you, we are putting this on white, so we're okay with that. Go ahead and just feather those edges here just a little bit. Perfect. All right, so we'll go ahead and say OK. And what this is going to do is give us a really, really nice selection. So what we're going to do now is, now that we have this really cool selection, we want to fill this background with white. So since we have her selected, what we want to do is invert this selection. So we'll go up here to Image, and we'll choose, Select, and we'll choose Inverse. And now essentially what we've done is we've selected everything but her. And now we can take our paintbrush, and we could do a lot of different things, but I'm just going to do it with our paintbrush. Get a bigger brush. To get a bigger brush, see where it says 15? Just drop that down and get yourself a bigger brush. So I think something like 195 will look good. And down here, your colors probably look like this, black and white. You're going to use this arrow to flip the colors, or if it has a different color, you can just click this black and click and drag here to get white. Okay, and with that, we're just going to go in and fill, just like that. I'm going to fill it on this side. And if you want, you can kind of trim back some of those little flyaway hairs if you want. But I'm going to leave majority of those. Okay, and let's deselect. So that's select and deselect. And if you notice now, we've got a nice clean image on white. We chopped her hair off just a little bit right there. Let's get a smaller brush. We did a little bit of extra chopping off right there, so I can go ahead and just paint some of those in if you want. But you can tell we have a really nice image that's on white, and we did that by extracting her essentially with a selection mask. And again, I did that pretty quick. You can spend some time and really refine your mask. And again, when you're first starting out, it's one of those things that, how do I select something and how do I make a modification? So just remember, by selecting, you can also invert that selection, which means give me everything but that. And you can also add or remove to your selection as well.